The Labour government is planning to end the culture of presenteeism, the culture of working past your hours, coming in when you're sick or simply having to come in 5 days a week. Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, says giving staff the right to work from home or ignore emails and calls in the evening will make them more motivated and resilient. The tech giant Amazon is going the other way. This past week, they've informed staff that from next year, they will be required to work full-time in the office. The end goal here, though, is surely improved productivity, and on that metric, the UK is somewhere down the league table. Is it more productive to work from home, or is the work culture better enhanced by being in the workplace? Let's speak to someone who follows this closely. The global leadership expert and member of the advisory board of the UCL School of Management, Chris Roebuck. Good to see you, Chris.
Good to see you.
Before we discuss this, part of the problem is that hybrid work isn't very clearly defined or analysed in terms of productivity.
Well, there's actually a reasonable... First point I'd make is we talk about hybrid and remote. Let's be blunt. Only 20 to 40% of the working population, depending on the development of your economy, can hybrid work anyway. So everybody else actually has to be there to do the job. So it's not the majority, but it's a very large minority. Now, there is evidence from both COVID and currently that hybrid can, in the right situation, have significant benefits in terms of keeping the best people for you. Depending what you do, if you want to do individual work, you can potentially improve your performance by 30% doing it from home and not being in a busy office. So for the right people, depending on what you're doing, it can have benefits.
Yeah, I must say I do my best work in the morning, sitting at the table, eating my breakfast with no interference. And I get a lot done. But then I do enjoy coming into the office, discussing things with colleagues and putting the programme together. So I guess it's horses for courses, right? It depends on what you're doing and how you go about your work.
That's absolutely right. And these sort of sheep dip approaches, you will all come in for 5 days or whatever, don't work because people in organizations do different jobs. And it's fundamentally the way to optimize hybrid is not about who you work for or even your job. It's about what work you do. And as you put it so perfectly, if there is an element of your work you do where you need peace and quiet, doing it at home is where you need to potentially do it. If there's an element of your work that is critical, that is teamwork, then you need to be in with your team. And it depends what that balance is. And rather than CEOs turning around and saying everybody is the same, because they're not, it should be given, line managers and bosses should be given the freedom to say, look, these particular people, it makes more sense for them to work hybrid, and these people really need to be in because of what they do. It's that simple. And you can also say, to be honest, probably for team integrity, probably people should come in once a day anyway and everybody get together.
Is Jonathan Reynolds right that by giving people the power to decide, giving them by law the flexibility, that actually you will improve the resilience of the workforce? Because, all right, it's a slightly separate issue, but one of the things we're talking about today is the working sick, the people who aren't at the workplace. A lot of them are not being able to be treated by the NHS. They have long-term health considerations, but some of them are there for stress reasons. They don't want to come in or they can't come in. And I just wonder if actually what we do need to improve is the resilience of the workforce through that more flexible approach to work.
Absolutely. We do need to improve the resilience of the workforce. But going back to your earlier point about productivity, there are some people who love being in the office and there are other people who don't necessarily like to be in the office. There are some people who have families and children at school who would love to hybrid because it fits in with their work style and they will perform well at home. There are some young, ambitious people who want to be in the office, to be visible and to learn from their colleagues. So it's really about taking a flexible approach which inspires people, motivates people, that then builds resilience and that then improves well-being. And it builds trust because you think your employers actually trust you rather than saying, actually, you've got to come in, which implies maybe we don't trust you.
Yeah, you could attach all the debate about childcare and the lack of provision on childcare to this argument as well. Of course, many families can't afford that childcare, but we'll save that for another day. Chris, lovely to talk to you. Thank you for coming on.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Chris Raybock.